Alright everyone, I thought I'd make these suggestions as sort of an extension of the YouTube ad apocalypse stuff. People were talking about it. I didn't want to weigh in at the time because I figured some people would probably have a problem with it. But I think I've thought of a solution to the dilemma of demonetization on YouTube that allows, if YouTube is really, if their primary concern is not, being raked over the coals by the corporate media, but rather the actual advertisers, which is what they've said is their primary problem in the ad system, why so many people have had so much material demonetized, including all of my material, although I think that's because if you're putting crowdfunding links in the description, it automatically demonetizes them, because all of those videos came off of being enabled for, and not that I take monetization anyway, but I was enabled for it. As soon as I mass changed all the descriptions to add the Patreon link, that's when it got to, I think that demonetizes videos. People can no longer really use a hybrid system where they're taking crowdfunding and ad revenue, apparently, which is fine. You only really need one or the other anyway, depending on your content. But I think I've thought of a solution that would work to everyone's benefit. YouTube benefits because its advertisers would continue to have control tools. Users would benefit because if their content is more edgy, they'd actually be able to get ads, and that's a split system of ad revenue. Right now, what you've got is a situation where the tools are essentially a user's video or channel is or is not considered ad appropriate by advertisers. YouTube demonetizes it at a whim if anybody complains, which means that the vast majority of material on YouTube, it seems, that covers any political or religious issues is automatically demonetized. But what if YouTube instituted a simple tool for advertisers? YouTube no longer would mark content as demonetized or as 18 plus, as restricted content or what. They do away with that system entirely. What I'm suggesting is a total overhaul of that basic idea, in favor of a system where advertisers, when they sign up to use YouTube in the first place, nobody really fucking cares about restricted mode. It can be enabled by like a school, a library, anyone else. They're probably not using it. So it's a cottage industry of blocking material. And of course, it never blocks corporate material, strangely enough. You know, like CNN talks about some war. That's okay to see like a gruesome video there, but if some alt media character gets demonetized, pretty retarded. The system would be like this. When advertisers sign up to use YouTube, there would be 3 settings that they could choose from. The first setting would be, I only want this content on tame material. That is, they want it on CNN and Fox's sites, and stuff that doesn't talk about politics, doesn't talk about religion. They could target it at their whim. It would be very, very tame content. The next setting would be, I don't care what kind of content the ad appears on. So that means it would be on the tame content, and it would be on, edgier content that's been monetized. The third setting would be, I only want it on the edgy content. YouTube is looking a gift horse in the mouth here. There are plenty of companies that market products that do not really coincide with wanting a tame. They don't want the sort of audience that's like going to watch Fox News. They're paying attention to Bill O'Reilly's podcast and listening to Hugh Hewitt or something like that. No, they want it on the edgier, the alt media content, the swear-laden gaming videos and stuff like that. Instead of YouTube having a setting whereby the content is set to restricted and unable to get any ad revenue at all, why don't you give advertisers actually even more power in the tools that they use, so they can specifically choose, like, let's say I have a company and I'm marketing hyper-violent video games or grindcore albums or something. You think I care whether someone says fuck in their video? Of course, I probably want to target the audience that watches that sort of stuff. I probably want to target my ads to that audience. And for any given video, it would be given one of these 3 rankings. It's totally tame, or the advertisers don't care, in which case it doesn't matter, or the video is edgy. Essentially, you'd have tame YouTube and edgy YouTube. Both would be ad enabled, but it allows companies the choice to actually choose which kind of videos or both that they want their ads run on. It's there are plenty of companies out there that never complained when the YouTube ad stuff happened. There were some that did. There were some companies that said, we don't want our ads appearing on videos that have certain types of political content, certain types of, blasphemy. Some foreign companies advertising on YouTube, some Saudi-based company. Yeah, they don't want their videos on potentially blasphemous material. They could get, fucked by that. Get their heads chopped off for doing something like that. I can understand why they would want that tool. It's regrettable, but that's just sort of the way things work. You think of Chinese companies. Do they want their stuff running on a video that criticizes China? Probably not. So the solution is to give the advertisers even more power. When they sign up, and they can change this if they want, they can have their ads running on edgier material. If they are of the type of company that's not likely to care, because they're unlikely to suffer any repercussion for running their ads on that material, it even opens up a totally new market for them. Because all of their more tame competitors, the mainstream competitors, aren't going to run their ads on that content. Their ads will be more prevalent on that style of content. Anyone could sign up to do that. Another thing that YouTube could do, I realize these tools for advertisers are essentially only being given to some of these largest companies. Why don't you scale it down so that smaller advertisers can do the same? Why don't you also market it for location? Like, what if I had a company? Let's just say this. What if I have a brick and mortar business here in Vermont? I don't, but what's say I did? I have like a line of gas stations, a mom and pop furnace store or something. What if I wanted to specifically target ads only to people based on the analytics who have large audiences within that region, like someone who only weighs in on New England issues? I should be able as an advertiser to do that too. And again, I should be able to choose. Do I care if the content is edgy? Give the advertiser, I'm not talking about, advertiser choice is a bad thing. No, almost too little advertiser choice is what caused this problem. Because they don't have that full choice, they leaned on YouTube to demonetize billions of videos, which is what happened. So many videos now have been demonetized, their ad campaigns actually run a lot further. But instead of demonetizing channels or videos, YouTube shouldn't even need to worry about it. I mean, if it's still on the platform, people are still watching it, it's just a total Pyrrhic victory for the advertisers when you're talking about, we got the content demonetized so that we're not potentially paying this person who talks about communism or Nazis or something like that. But why don't you, instead of demonetizing them, just mark the content as, yeah, it's not tame, and then advertisers can say whether they care or not. Some of them only want ads on that kind of content. And in order to get something like this inserted, we would need advertisers, whether they're small businesses, alt firms, alt media, to lean on YouTube the same way like Coca-Cola or Reebok would, and to add their voices to the slew. If the idea goes viral and enough people are willing to pay for such a service, then it will get instituted, because Google's going to say, you can make YouTube solvent this way. Because then there's no demonetized content. There are specific classes of content, but they're not demonetized. The YouTubers are happier, the advertisers actually have more choice, and YouTube is totally exonerated on the issue of having to deal with this situation simply because the choice exists there. That's my suggestion to YouTube for dealing with this. A lot of larger content creators have been pissed off because they feel that they're no longer capable. I mean, they're going to move to a different platform if you press them much harder. Some of these people have seen a massive decline in revenue. It hasn't touched me. I take crowdfunding. I use Patreon. I feel just fine. But a lot of people don't. And they should still be able to have ads running. I mean, they're begging YouTube to run ads on their content so that YouTube makes more money. And you're denying that to them right now. Just mark their content as more edgy, so the kind of ads that appear there are from companies that don't fucking care if it's edgy. Like, if I were to take ads, that would be sort of the only way I could benefit, because most of my content wouldn't be marked as tame. I swear. I talk about sensitive political issues. I have weird, spiritual beliefs that a lot of companies probably wouldn't like. They wouldn't want to target their ads to my material. It's probably like 90% of my videos. Before I mass changed everything to have the Patreon link in the description, I think it was about 50-50. About half of my videos were not available in restricted mode. Like, they had been No, like they would be demonetized. The other half were fine. They were actually capable of having AdSense run on them. But I don't use AdSense. Some people do, though. And for them, my suggestion still is to stop using AdSense altogether and move to crowdfunding, whatever form that takes. Or sell merchandise, sell t-shirts and mugs or something like that. You can do that. I don't, because I can't figure any of the sites out that do that. I would like to sell, like, maybe pins. I'm not into the mug and t-shirt thing. Maybe pins or something like that, armbands or something of a more, like, political-looking nature with the logo on it. That'd be okay, I guess. But, yeah, I mean, for these other people, until YouTube's willing to change the AdSense system, preferably to something like I'm suggesting here, because it'd be perfect. The advertisers would be happy. The YouTubers would be happy. Everyone's happy. Google makes more money. Why wouldn't they be happy? Instead of leading on people for their political beliefs, it just makes more sense. As for the ad apocalypse thing in general, though, there was no real ad apocalypse. Some people suffered quite a bit. Other people, they're like, well, I don't understand what the problem is, because my content is still perfectly fine. Even though the most tame of creators, you'll notice, got some content demonetized, they did take a hit on that. Notice Fox and CNN and all these retard groups didn't. Yeah, even though they discuss the same things. Hell, all of their content is potentially sensitive. What's the difference between, by the way, somebody on the corporate media saying something and someone on alt media saying exactly the same thing word for word and getting demonetized for it? It's like they've put a green light on those corporate media channels, even though those channels, they pull in a fraction of the audience of some of the alt media. You look at Fox's YouTube page or CNN or something. They're like anemic compared to thousands of independent YouTubers. Some of these is private individuals. They're not even a network. It's not even a group of people. It's one person who does some shitty podcast. They get like 10 times the viewership of MSNBC on YouTube. It's fantastic that YouTube wouldn't want to give ad revenue to these people if they actually want to make use of that service. That's about all. Peace out.